program directors, co-program directors, current, past, future leadership of the ANC, friends and family, welcome on behalf of the Kumalo children. I've been asked to do two things. One is to talk about my father and what it was like growing up with him. And the second thing was to give messages from my children. Now, the first part, I know many of you know my father as an ambassador, but he was strict. Huh? One of the stories that I like to tell my kids is that, when it would snow in New York, I would run to my father and I'd say, "Dad, have you heard that the weatherman said it's snowing?" He said, "The last time I looked, I'm your father, not the weatherman." One thing about my father was that he was always about process. And one of the things that he would always encourage me was to do well at school. And when he'd get disappointed in me, he said, "Mandla, are you not embarrassed that these people feed you for free and give you free textbooks and you still fail? Yo. One other memory of my father that I have is that he was always the activist. One of the things that I always remember as a child is that sometimes he would be too generous. In some ways, he was always giving away my stuff. So I'd come home and there'd be someone from MK or someone who'd come to join the student movement, and he would just take all of my clothes and put them in a bag. And then I'd say, "Dad, and now what are you doing?" He said, "Man, no, are you not growing? Manje, forget about it, it's just clothes." One of the greatest things about my father is that many people are activists verbally or just intellectually. My father was an activist through and through. On Saturdays when most kids were playing, he would make me take 2 trains to go to the ANC headquarters, where we'd recite the Freedom Charter, sing freedom songs. Guys like Brasam would bribe us with Chinese food afterwards. But throughout my whole life, he was a man of activism. And I think one of my fondest memories of my father is that when I was in varsity, there was a huge riot at my varsity at Morris College. And me being terrified of my father, I decided to stay out of it. So the first day they rioted, my father didn't call. The second day they rioted, my father didn't call. And on the third day, he called. And then he asked me, "Mandla, are you getting involved?" And I reminded him that, no, number one, I don't want to get kicked out of school. And my father instructed me. He said, "The next time I speak to you, you should be calling from a jail, because you should be doing something that's progressive and forceful. If you're not going to be an activist, there's no way you can be my son." Now, I think onto what my father would say. I've thought about this a lot, and I think the first thing Kumalo would say was he was one of many. He would be very, very thankful and appreciative of all this, but he would easily, tell you that he was one of many people who tried to liberate this country. And he was very, very fortunate to get opportunities through the ANC, through the Africa Fund, and even back home when he worked at the Permanent Representative, and also to be CEO of the Thabo Mbeki Foundation. I think the other thing that he would say is that he would like to say thanks to our father, Ubabamkhulu, who's our head office, at Kumalo. Now, if you think my father is strict, now Ubabamkhulu is 10 times more strict. And to tell a very, very quick story, when I wanted to get married, so I went to Babamkhulu all excited and love, and I said, "Babamkhulu, I want to get married." And he said, "Mandla, are you sure? You must do 2 things. 1, come back in 2 weeks. And number 2, come with serious money." So very, very frustrated. So I called my father in New York, and they said, "Oh, Baba, can you believe 2 weeks?" He said, 2 weeks. Oh, booty, how he's getting soft, ne? 2 weeks only. Lastly, I think on behalf of the grandchildren, I think my father would want them to know that everything is possible. He'd also have a special wish for my son Sipo. He'd want you to know that in heaven, Arsenal always beats your Tottenham. One of my father's biggest things when he spoke, he always spoke about, that there are no easy victories. And I tried to make peace with how can you lose your own father and have it be a victory. But when my father lost his father, we snuck into a back of a church, in a Black Baptist church, in the middle of New York City, in Harlem, and I watched my father cry for the first time. But no one looked, no one cared. It was just me and my father in the back. So today I stand today bearing my hero, and I'm blessed, as always. No easy victories. Siabong.